Right. So these are just ramblings and life lessons I've learned from the brain and the Buddha and Bill Murray. But first, to start with the brain, the relationship you have with your own brain, with the thoughts in your head, is the most important relationship you'll ever have. You and your thoughts are, till death do you part, inseparable. You can imagine your thoughts sort of as like a holographic Twitter timeline, right? Like just projected behind your eyes. And even though it starts at birth, for the first 2 years, it's useless. It's all in like wing-ding spot. There's no sense of language yet. But slowly, as you grow and mature emotionally, so too does your Twitter font graduate from the lowly Comic Sans to a respectable sans serif. And that's where you are today. You've been with your brain forever. So it's sometimes very easy to think that you and your brain are the same. I would argue there's a distinction there. That your thoughts and you are definitely intimately connected. You spend a lot of time together, but you're not the same. This is best exemplified, this example's a little dark for this early in the show, but David Foster Wallace was an author who killed himself. And 2 years before he did, he said that the suicidally depressed don't actually want to die any more than the rest of us, which is hopefully not at all. They just want to get out of their brains. And at Robin Williams' funeral, a friend of his expressed a really similar sentiment, and it was that Robin Williams was a compassionate man and a hilarious comedian who was trapped inside a brain that was a heartless heckler. Bill Murray actually said it best, and least pessimistically. There's only one person you're guaranteed to spend the rest of your life with, and that's you. So don't spend the rest of your life with an asshole. The question does then become, if you're not your brain, right? If you're not your thoughts, who are you? Where does your sense of identity become grounded? And this is really where I think we could for a moment take Bill Murray seriously. Movie critic Jared Garrix once said, "Have you ever noticed how Bill Murray doesn't care about the movie? Like whatever is happening in the movie, Bill Murray doesn't actually care. He just sort of bobs along as Bill Murray through the plot." Now, what's going on here, the reason the actual reason he does this is that's his brand, he's developed it, he makes a lot of money off of that specific style of comedy. But if we put that aside for a moment and just like analyze ad nauseum Bill Murray, we can come to some really interesting, if not factual, conclusions. He was a student of Mahayana Buddhism. And a core tenet of Mahayana Buddhism is separation. So you need to step back from the outside world of your social standing and your financial plane. But also you need to remove yourself from not only the outside world, but your own inner world, right? Your daily mental anxieties, your mental checklists throughout the day. And by stepping back from both everything that's going on around you and within you, and just calmly observing both of them, you end up in this really Zen state, which is where Bill Murray spends all of his screen time. And we don't actually identify. If you ask people, like, what's the name of the character that Bill Murray played in Ghostbusters, or you can do this with almost any movie, no one remembers the name of the character, because we didn't actually relate to the character. We related to Bill Murray. That's how he uses it, right? He uses it so that when we watch movies, we connect not with what's going on the outside or the inside, but with the person who's observing it. But we can actually use that stepping back to get to much deeper insights. Every high schooler at one point will come across, "I think, therefore I am," the Rene Descartes slogan, I guess. But it's a shame. Almost no high schoolers will ever be exposed to what I think is a really important criticism of "I think, therefore I am." Came by Jean-Paul Sartre in 1933. And what he said, and I'm paraphrasing because he said it in a really long way and it was in French, but basically, if you sit down in like a really quiet room and just ruminate on that for a while, you start to gain an understanding that the mind that says "I think" isn't actually the same as the sort of self that feels I am. There's a difference there. It's subtle, and it's very hard to pin down because it requires thinking, and then you've entered the process and everything's gone to shit. But there's a difference. There's a self that says I am, that doesn't have to think it. Alan Watts called this the most important fact about existence. And that is that the universe, life, just existence in general, is a playful thing. It's playful. There's no necessity for the universe. Like, it's not going anywhere. It's not trying to achieve something. Life doesn't exist in service of some larger goal. It exists in and of itself. It's best understood by analogy, I think, to music. Music is different from, say, travel. Right? When you travel somewhere, like on a business trip or something, you're trying to get somewhere. There is a purpose, and that is to get to point B. It's a serious goal. Music, like, you will eventually get to the end of the song, but the end of the song was never the goal of the song. Like, that doesn't even really make sense. And same thing with dancing. You will eventually hit a spot on the floor, but that spot on the floor was not the point of the entire dance. This is really easy to see with, like, music and dancing, but it's a lot harder to see when you zoom out and view life as a whole. But Alan Watts, and I would agree, would say that life works the same way. It's playful. It's a musical thing. And when you live your life as if it's travel, like there's a serious goal, a place you're trying to get to, what happens is you move through each stage of life just trying to get to the next one. Right? So you're in elementary school and you're living in anticipation of the one day when then you're in high school and now you're a person and your life is going to start. And then you're in college and you'll get out into the real world soon, and then you have a gig selling insurance and there's a quota or something. And you meet that, and then there's a promotion, and you wake up at 50 and you've made it. And you don't feel any different. Because life wasn't a serious matter. It wasn't meant to be taken with such gravity. It's a musical thing. And you were meant to dance through the whole time. You cheated yourself by expectation that one day you would start living. So I'll leave you with my favorite quote from a Tibetan monk whose name I honestly can't even mispronounce correctly. And that is this: live your life so that you could die at any moment, and your last thought wouldn't be, I thought I had more time.
Wonderful comment.